Hello everyone, welcome to CS Sri Lanka webinar series CL1 Advanced Audit and Assurance, second part of the webinar series. I hope you might have already watched 5 webinars conducted by Mr. Suranga Indunil during last few weeks. So I will be taking over from there to cover up the rest of the syllabus areas. Just a quick introduction on me. I am Vipula Bandara. I have been lecturing for Advanced Audit and Assurance for last 7 years, and also I am currently attached to a global firm as a partner, assurance and advisory. So what I will be discussing during next 5 webinars, so I will be more focusing on practical application of auditing, how auditing theory, what you learned, are going to be applied in practical auditing scenario, and how that practical application will be tested in CL1 paper. So therefore, before moving to the today's session and the syllabus introduction, so there are a lot I have to discuss with you. But before that, I want to tell you one thing. In auditing is one of the practical subject. It is not a theory which is landed from somewhere. It's a purely a practical subject where we practice in the industry, right? So therefore, your CL1 paper is completely based on practical application, because this is the final auditing paper that you are going to face. So I want to train you, or within this limited given time, how practically you think this auditing concept, right? So we'll see within this given limited time of next 5 webinars how I can give you some of the value addition more in a practical manner, right? So today's session, so I'll be coming back to the session in a logical order. But before moving to the today's session is one of the fantastic, interesting session, right? So one of the fantastic and interesting session. So you will enjoy the today's session. Listen carefully the entire 2.5 hours, and also it will be the one of the foundation for you to get 10 marks at your examination, right? So today's topic is, so before coming to the syllabus and all that, right? Code of ethics, right? So before coming to the chapter, I just want to ask one question from you, right? Why I'm asking this question? For you to get trained how to think in more practical manner in this subject, right? So today's session is Code of Ethics. We'll discuss all the theory. We will discuss this entire booklet summary, the Code of Ethics. We'll do everything. But I will ask very simple question now, right? We can discuss all this theory, but finally paper contains one of the practical scenario where the practice in chartered accountant face on this paper, because this is the final auditing paper on your CS Sri Lanka syllabus, right? So now we will be discussing in detail Code of Ethics, how the threat, safeguard, how that is going to be applied, and so on. There are a lot we will discuss today as far as possible. But end of the day, what you learned need to be applied in practically. That application will be tested at your examination, right? So therefore, before starting the session, I'm just asking a question, right? Just imagine. Now shall we say you are an audit associate of audit. So you are an audit associate of audit, that means one of the audit trainee. You go for the audit of shall we say one of the company. After end of the audit, your financial controller of the company is so happy on your service. You have done very good job and you have achieved the deadline, you have released the final accounts, no problem at all. So finance manager is so happy on your service, and finance manager comes and tell you, so really good job guys, so, right? So today I'm going to give you a party, so we'll go for Strangila for dinner. Today dinner from me. Very simple question. Very simple question. Can you go to that dinner? Can you? Now you may be thinking all theory. Code of ethics booklet is there. There are so many fundamental principles. There are so many threats. There are so many safeguards which is there in this entire booklet. But nothing is useful unless you think on a more practical manner. Right? So that why I highlighted here, what you are learning in auditing, remember that this is a practical subject which you need to practice more and more. And also then you will have a question, okay, I'm not going for audit firm training, I'm not following any training, so how can I face this subject? Doesn't matter. What you need practical way of thinking. How that is to be built? You need to learn theory first of all. After that, practice questions. These days, COVID-19, what they do, what they tell what you call World Health Organization, WHO tells, test. In this subject also, the way out of getting through this subject is write questions. When you write more and more questions, try to understand the gravity of the logic behind the auditing theory in a more practical manner. Don't think in a very big way. Right? I will tell you a very simple example before coming to the lesson. I am giving the background. Right? So, very simple example. You might have learned in auditing there is something called fraud and error. Right? So, I am going to give very basic example. Right? So, just to explain you how to think in auditing. Don't think in very big way. Right? So, fraud and error. So, you will memorize your definition. Fraud. The fraud mean intentional activity that is perpetrated by the management or those charged with governance or one or more employees or something. So definition. So error mean you will define it is an unintentional activity and so on. You will practice. You will memorize. No use at all for auditing, because why? This is application purpose, not BL5. So BL5 is a basic theoretical auditing, but CL1 is purely practical application. So if you want to understand this concept, you have to think on a very day-to-day life example. Don't think like a very big way. Think like a very basic example. Right? I will tell you a very basic example. Now, shall we say, we'll ask from Suraj. Now, Suraj is our video officer. So, I'm asking from Suraj. Now, Suraj is coming from Kaduvela. And today evening, so Suraj shall we say Suraj is going by bus. Suraj get into the bus from, shall we say, from Boralla to go to Kaduvela. So, bus fare is, shall we say, 25 rupees. Okay. So now Suraj get into the bus from Boralla to go to Kaduvela, right? And Suraj, when now too tired, now today is evening time, so too tired, now Suraj falling into the sleep, right? So now Suraj wants to get down before the Kaduvela. Suddenly Suraj gets up. So before that, conductor comes and see, poor fellow, the Suraj is, so this guy is sleeping, maybe tired, I will take his money later. So the conductor goes away, right? So before the, now the bus halt, now Suraj has come to the bus halt. So Suraj suddenly gets up, I have passed my location, so put the bell, suddenly get out from the bus. So what happened now? Finally, Suraj didn't give the money. What is the repercussion? What is the result? The result is bus conductor lost 25 rupees. Next day, Suraj got the point. Now Suraj got the point. Next day, Suraj knows what to do. What Suraj is going to do? The Suraj is going to do, next day, Suraj gets into the bus from Borella, and when the conductor comes to see the Suraj or get the money, Suraj is sleeping. What happens now? Then conductor comes, okay, poor guys, maybe so tired, so he will give the money when he gets down. So Suraj is going to think, the conductor thinks like that. So what happened? Now same strategy is adopted when the bus hold comes. Suraj just almost like a sleeping, and then immediately when the bus hold pass, put the bell and gets down and go. What happened? End of the day, our intention is different, but there are same result, but the same result occurred. So therefore, the universities and all for this there is one word also, right? So now, see what happened. The press incident is an error, unintentionally done, right? The second incident is a fraud, which is intentionally done, right? So then, but when it comes to auditing, auditing theory or auditing standard, SLS 240, so this in auditing, we treat both equally. For audit perspective, whether fraud or error, remember that both are treated equally. Whether it happened intentionally, whether it happened unintentionally, as auditors, we don't care. Why I told you this scenario, just to explain you, when you are learning auditing theory at high end, think more in practical example, like day-to-day life example. You imagine if you do this auditing paper, you imagine that you are an auditor, and link those theory into some of the practical scenarios that you face in your life. It will remember with you, not the definition, but the concept will remember with you. Right? So I just gave one example. Why I gave that example? For you to emphasize that auditing is a practical subject where you need the practical application, rather memorizing the theories or memorizing these books or memorizing anyway now your CL1 is a closed book examination, fortunately or unfortunately, right? So you cannot carry these books. Rather memorizing this theory, it will be easy if you can save your back mind, logics, rationales, gravity of this auditing concept, right? On that line only, I'll be conducting this next 5 webinars. So I'll be discussing more practical application, rather theory, and I'll be discussing more questions for you to develop your way of thinking, to develop the way of addressing a scenario, to develop the way of applying the theory what you learned, right? Okay, fine, right? So so before moving to the today's session, today we will discuss in detail today's session. So before moving to the today's session, I asked one question from you. I told you one scenario. You are audit trainee, so you are going for audit. When you go for audit, after you completing your audit, so the finance manager is so happy. The finance manager is asking you to come to the Strangila for a dinner. Are you going? You can give answer yes or no, but there should be a reason for that, right? Some people will say yes, some people will say no, right? You might have watched definitely you watch cricket match. These days we don't have, right? So when you watch cricket match, there are so many advertisements are going on. Damru, right? So Sunsilk. There are so many advertisements in the so many digital boards. Have you seen anywhere? KPMG, PwC. Have you seen anywhere? No. When you go in this road, maybe 138 roads, maybe 120 roads, maybe other side Kandy Road, Gold Road, Nigambo Road, any road, you see big boards are there. Big boards are there. Detol, Sunlight. There are so many advertisements. Have you seen any advertisement with regard to audit firm? Have you seen anything on the seasonal discount, KPMG, seasonal discount, 20%, come and join to us? Have you seen anywhere? Have you seen? No. Have you seen any media press conference, someone comes to the media and say, I'm a chartered accountant. As a chartered accountant, I tell this fact. Have you seen anybody has gone to jail as a chartered accountant? People might have gone as a personal capacity. Have you seen? No. Why this? That is today's our topic, right? So we'll discuss in a more practical angle, right? So more practical angle, and we'll come to the today's session discussing the syllabus structure properly, and we will link where this chapter contains in the syllabus, how we should address, and we'll come for the first we will learn the theory of this within 2.5 hours. We'll learn the theory of this, summary of this theory, and after that I'll be discussing with you a bit more practical application of this code of ethics, right? Okay, so we'll look at the syllabus as of now. Basically, if you look at the syllabus structure, in your syllabus structure of the CL1, it's not easy. CL1 is if someone says CL1 is a very easy paper, I would not agree. CL1 paper is a combination of a KB4, combination of KB4 and KC4, which is not easy in my reading, right? Because there are 8 areas, different weightage, and you need to learn all this properly, right? So in this section, part A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. So governing an internal control framework, audit planning and risk assessment, gathering audit evidence, auditing in a digital environment, evaluating evidence and audit reporting, assurance and related services, audit quality and ethics, professional practice of internal audit. Remember that already the Mr. Suranga Engineer discussed with you in detail of this auditing application, especially the audit planning. So I saw that videos. So I recommend you to watch from the beginning the first 5 webinars. So there are a lot of things he discussed for you to get from those videos and practice in questions, and already he discussed few questions also in the audit planning. So those are very good questions. Please, if you have not watched, please go back and watch those videos, right? So I'll be covering the rest of the areas which Mr. Suranga Induril didn't cover during the previous webinars. For example, governance and internal control framework I'll be doing, and audit planning and risk assessment already done. Gathering audit evidence I'll be doing, and auditing in a digital environment, one of the fantastic session, which is a newly landed for the CL1, robotic process automation, how to audit in a cyber security environment, how to audit in a cyber security company, how to audit an e-commerce company. It's a fantastic. So we'll have a session for that, right? Then evaluating evidence and audit reporting, already Mr. Suranga Indunil did that area, and assurance and related services he covered, and audit quality and ethics, already he has covered the audit quality. So I'm going to cover today that part, ethics and professional practice of internal audit. Remember, this is the last area, section H. When the syllabus was introduced in June 2019, this section was not there. Right? So this section was not there, but instead of that, gathering of audit evidence was the 25% weightage. After some time, I can't remember exactly the time, but after some time the CS Sri Lanka announced that the CL1 syllabus has been changed. Accordingly, there's a new session added, professional practice of internal audit, which is a really good session. So that has been added. So we'll see within the given time whether we can cover up that also, right? So today my coverage, before that, so you can see advanced audit and assurance. Why I'm telling this is not easy. There are 20 chapters. But top of that, none of the theories will be tested. What would be tested? What you learnt in theory and how that is applied in practical auditing, right? So there's 20 chapters. So I recommend you to get the study text, right? Get the study text and read the study text in each and every chapter. But remember that reading, press read, prepare a mind mapping, prepare a short note, right? And from each chapter, minimum 20 cases if you can do, so you don't have any doubt of getting through the examination. Forget the 20, at least 10 into 20, 200 questions if possible, at least 100 questions. But my experience of advanced auditing, unless you do minimum 100 practical scenarios of auditing, it's very difficult to get through this paper, right? I have seen many of the students who are coming and crying, I have been doing auditing for 10 years, 7 years, 5 years, 3 years. Why is that? Why is that? Because you haven't understood the auditing. Because you haven't understood the auditing, as well as you haven't developed the practical way of thinking, right? That cannot be done unless you practice question in a proper systematic order, right? So we'll see, I'm going to discuss today two practical scenarios. So I'll be discussing in a more practical way. I'll try to develop with you how practically think on those practical case studies, right? So basically there are 20 chapters. So I'll be taking today the part G, audit quality and ethics. This one, audit quality and ethics. Audit quality control has already been done by Mr. Suranga Iduril. So I'll be taking right. Okay, fine. So I'll be taking basically so part G, audit quality and ethics, has already been done by Mr. Suranga Iduril. Sorry, audit quality control has already been done by him. So I'll be discussing ethics and ethical threats, right? Basically this section G, the audit quality and ethics, basically contains 15% of your syllabus, and chapter 18 and chapter 19 audit quality control and ethics and ethical threats, right? So now basically audit quality control general testing would be about 5 marks generally, that the weightage if you really look at. There will be a question, if you look at the pilot paper, there will be a question from ethics and ethical threat for 10 marks, right? So now we are going to discuss this 10 marks question and the theory behind this chapter, right? So just to tell one more thing, this ethical threats, it was there on the previous syllabus KB4 as well as KC4. Both the subject contain so this ethical issues. And also if you look at this, I have given here the past paper analysis of KB4. Why I have taken as a KB4 as a benchmark? Remember, in your CL1 paper, KB4 paper is the benchmark, but the CL1 paper is so advanced than the KB4. But it is, the benchmark is KB4 because both the examinations are closed book examination. You cannot compare with the KC4 because that was an open book examination. The way of testing the case studies and all slightly different, right? So therefore always try to look at the benchmark KB4 but advanced application, remember that, right? Not the KB4 level but the advanced application. So the students who have already failed at KB4, the previous examination in December 2019, they remember that you need to work little in more harder, because the testing level of the CL1 is much more advanced than the KB4. The students who have failed KC for so many years and is as well as last December 2019 as well as the February 2020 examinations, please note that the way you have practice of the KC4 and the paper structure and the way of answering the question and getting ready is completely different from KC4, right? So be alert on that, the transitional, otherwise you will get into the problem when you are attending to the examination, right? So if you look at the KB4 past paper analysis I have done for this chapter, so the previous syllabus of KB4, if you look at the December 15, June 16, December 16, likewise I have analyzed for all the papers. If you look at in average, there was a question from 10 marks. There was a question for 10 marks, right? So the 10 marks, so therefore, and 10 mark question had been in the KB4 syllabus. So similarly, if you look at the pilot paper of the CL1, that contains a 10 mark question, that contains a practical question on 10 marks, right? So our intention after today, we are discussing the basic theories of the practical scenarios of so basic concept of ethical threats, and I will come back and discuss on this particular question the case study, right? Right, now we'll right, okay. So let me give me 15 minutes time. I will take you through entire code of ethics booklet, this booklet in summary, right? And after that we will discuss the practical application, right? So now listen to the video carefully. Don't do any other work now, right? If you are busy, pause the video, go and do the work and come, right? And give a free mind to keep a free mind to get the point that I am going to discuss now, right? So the today's before coming to the more theory, more practical application, I am going to ask a very simple question now. I am going to ask a very simple question from you. I am going to ask a question from Suraj. Suraj, can I kill you? Can I kill you? Why not? I can. I don't have anything here, but otherwise I can kill you. You want to kill somebody, can you? Yeah, why not? Can kill. You can kill, same as immediately police will come and you will be taken to the custody and you will have to go for jail. You see, there is a human behavior. I can kill somebody, but to control that, to prevent that, avoid that, force that, there is something called in this society, that is law. There is something called law. The law sets a minimum standard behavior for the society, right? If I want to kill somebody, I can kill, but the problem is I am reluctant to do because of the law. So that means there is a control mechanism. There is a control mechanism to prevent that. That is there in the society. The second thing is a very fantastic thing, right? Now, somebody wants to go in from now we are on the third floor of the CA Sri Lanka. Somebody wants to go in this floor without dresses, without clothes. Can, no, cannot. Now Suraj wants to go without dressed. Can, no, cannot. Can go. Is there a legal restriction? Is there a legal restriction? As I know, no legal restriction, as I know, right? But if somebody goes without dresses in this third floor of the CA Sri Lanka, what you will think if you are here? What you will think? That person is mad. Oh, that is not acceptable. That is not appropriate. Since it is not appropriate, you will not do. Now, if you want to go without dresses, right? Why you are not going to do? Because it is not appropriate. What is the benchmark for appropriateness? What is the benchmark? Acceptance of the society. Acceptance of the society. That is called in theory morality. So law is there, morality is there, right? Law is there, the morality is there. Law is mandatory, morality is not mandatory, but it is force you to comply because society accept. Remember that there is another concept beyond this law, beyond the morality, that is called ethics. Ethics in Sinhala we call Achara Dharma. Ethics. Ethics something which is beyond the law. Ethics something which is beyond the morality. It is something a high-end concept which governs the some part of the society. So if you look at the ethics, right? If you look at the ethics, forget about the accountant's ethics. So think about the ethics in a very broader manner. I'm taking a very basic example, right? So you may be feeling that these are very basic auditing. Yes, we'll come from the basic to the high-end auditing. When you if you have gone for a court premises, you can see all the lawyers are wearing white color shirt and black color trouser if it is a male lawyer, and the other one, but everybody is like that. If you go to the lawyer's office somewhere in the near the court premises, you can see all the lawyers' name boards are on black and white. The black background, white font. Have you seen? Yes. Now, some of you are working in audit firm now. Some of you are working in audit firm. Some of you are working in audit firm. Just imagine the press day, you wanted to find out the place where the audit firm is located. You are going and checking the building, but name board is not there. There are no very big booths and more marketing. It's not there, right? And so, and just imagine a doctor. When you go for a doctor in office time, for office day to see a doctor. So doctor is sitting in a chair, putting slippers and with a t-shirt and sometime maybe a short trouser. Have you seen? No. Why this? Why this? So remember that each and every profession in this world, maybe doctors, engineers, lawyers, laborers or whatever, laborers, maybe some construction companies or maybe any other part of the society governs by ethics. Ethics are there for everyone, even media, there are ethics. Now you can see these days COVID-19, so the media ethics says you should not show the face of the person. That is ethics, right? But is it a legal requirement? It is not a legal requirement sometimes, right? So I'm not going to discuss in detail those things, right? So we are coming to the ethics. So ethics there are a lot of segment, all the section, right? Maybe out of those ethics, we are going to discuss ethics applicable for accountants. Ethics applicable for accountants. So that is our topic today. All right. The next question, whether these ethics are needed. Whether ethics are needed. Yes, ethics are needed. I will tell you why. Now, all of you, I know the dream of all of you is to become a chartered accountant in one day, right? For that you do now business level already completed, corporate level you are on now, then the strategic level you are yet to do, and then the case study, right? Case study you have to do. After that you will be doing Viva. While Viva you have to do, right? While doing Viva, so there are so many other courses, English course, IT course, there are so many courses for you to develop your soft skill. And then after doing Viva, so there will be a day, so all of you have that dream, there will be a day somewhere in September, you want to go to BMICH, you want to call your parents, you want to call your girlfriend, boyfriend, and you want to call your friends, and you want to go to BMICH for what? You want to get the ACA membership, you want to get the chartered accountant status, right? You want to get the chartered accountant status, right? That is one of the dream of all of you have, but some of you has only the dream, finally doing nothing, you will not be able to achieve, right? So those who are really working hard, working smartly, right, practicing one more question, right, and really focusing on of this dream. So irrespective of where you are coming, you can achieve this dream, right? Irrespective of your A-level result, you can achieve this one. There are thousands examples for that one, but you have only the dream, but you do all other things except studies, so that will make you difficult in achieving this one, right? Okay, so once you become ACA, there are two things that you can do as a chartered accountant. So chartered accountant in business, chartered accountant in practice. There are two status. So chartered accountant in business means you may be the finance directors, finance controllers, accountant, assistant accountant, or maybe sometimes CEO of a company. So you are working in a organization as a employment, right? So that is called chartered accountant in business. There is another group like us, so chartered accountant in practice. So that means your minimum training, if you have covered 4 years, so then you can practice you can put your own audit firm and you can sign the accounts as a practicing chartered accountant, right? So now either one, maybe chartered accountant in business or a chartered accountant in practice. So then, so this, whatever the status you are in, you have to comply with this booklet, right? So that booklet is Code of Ethics for Professionals Accountant. So this is 2017, this is a 14 version, but the 17 version is available. So Code of Ethics for Professional Accountant, either you are in a chartered accountant in business or you are in a chartered accountant in practice, you have to comply with this Code of Ethics booklet. Why this has been issued? This has been issued by the CA Sri Lanka, because we need to protect our profession. We need to protect the accountant's profession. We need to protect the respect for the profession. So therefore, on this day, the September, when you are awarded ACA membership, after that, so you are here, right? You are here. Remember that. Your personal life, you can do whatever you want, but in your professional and business relationship and the dealings is restricted with this framework, right? In your professional and business relationship is restricted for a framework that is called Code of Ethics, right? So now this Code of Ethics has 3 sections. Code of Ethics has 3 sections. First section is the principle that are applicable for all the accountants. The second section that is applicable for chartered accountant in practice. The third section that are applicable for chartered accountant in business. In your CL1 paper, remember that this is a purely auditing paper. So therefore, more gravity or a more focus towards the chartered accountant in practice. That means ethical issues that you are facing when you are practicing in audit firm at the level of the audit partner and the audit manager. So that level of testing only CL1 paper. So you will get at the CL1 paper, right? So this is the background. So there are a lot of theories and ethics, how law, morality, ethics, how that comes. So you have to just have understanding. Nothing will be tested at the examination. Then, so you have to see, we are discussing only the ethics applicable for accountant profession. So out of accountant profession also, maybe CMA have their own ethics, maybe ICAEW has their own ethics, ICA India, ICA Pakistan, so they have their own ethics, right? So we have our own ethics that is issued by CA Sri Lanka based on the guideline issued by IFAC, right? So therefore this is the background to come to this the Code of Ethics. Now we'll go into this booklet. To see what is there in this booklet, right? So also remember that, again I am highlighting, after learning this theory of this, you have to read the study text also, but what you need to practice. Minimum 10 case scenarios. You need to write, keeping the time, and check your answers. And why I am telling like that, maybe CA examiner is like this, right? You are here. Remember that this is called the gap between theory and practical. In auditing paper, always there is a gap between. You are learning the theory, examiner is expecting the practical application. This is the gap. Even if you are going for audit firm training, you cannot fill this gap. How you can fill the gap? Again I am highlighting. Write more and more question and try to reduce this gap. Try to reduce at least to come this level. Then only you can get 50 marks. So remember that one, right? Okay. So now, basically in this Code of Ethics booklet, basically they talks about the three things. So we'll assume that this is chartered accountant, right? This person is called chartered accountant, right? This chartered accountant, any chartered accountant need to comply with 5 fundamental principles as you learn in BL5 or KE4 or KB4 or KC4 previously, right? There are 5 fundamental principles that you need to aware, but remember those theories will not be tested at the examination, right? Just remember there are 5 fundamental principles. Number 1 called integrity. Number 2 objectivity. Number 3 professional competence. And due care. Number 4 confidentiality. Number 5 professional behavior. There are 5 fundamental principles that a chartered accountant should maintain irrespective of that particular chartered accountant in business or a chartered accountant in practice. Both the people, these 5 concepts, for both the people, these 5 concepts are applied. In summary, what is meant by integrity? The integrity means the honesty plus straightforward. Some people say, I am so honest. That is not the integrity. So integrity means the honest and straightforward. Whatever to be told, you have to tell on time, right? So whatever you are dealing, you are not personal dealing, professional relationship should at integrity level, right? So that has to be maintained by a chartered accountant. Then second one is objectivity, which is one of the fundamental important for any chartered accountant. Whatever the work that you do, that you have undertaken with the objective, you need to focus on that. Now just check with you. You are a student who is following the CA Sri Lanka examination. You want to become a chartered accountant. As I told you previously, you want to go for a BMI CH to get your ACA membership on one day with your family, girlfriend, boyfriend. Oh, you want to put a photo in the Facebook. ACA membership, your dream realized. So you want to put so many things, but just ask this question from you. Are you into that objective? You will say, yes, I am into that objective, but are you practically doing that? So very good example. Now CA Sri Lanka has postponed your examination because of this COVID-19 issues. You might have done your studies up to March, and after that doing nothing. Are you into objectivity? Are you into with your objectivity? No. If I am in your seat, what I will do? If I was about to apply only 1 subject or 2 subjects, I will apply 4 subjects. Enough time there. Other days you have to get the study leaves and all those problems are there. Now that problem also not there. You are fully at home. Maybe you are working from home for a certain level. Make use that level. What is wrong with you? Wrong is everything is there, mind is not there. Other time mind is there, all other things are not there. Right? So what that does mean? So you don't have objectivity. So I was explaining something else. That objectivity mean what? You have to be very focus oriented only to your objective. I will give you one example. I'll give one example. Just imagine you are going to do the audit of what jewelers. Shall we say someone called Srimani, or someone call some name, shall we say X. One girl is doing the audit of watch jewelers. At the end of the watch jewelers audit, the watch jewelers chairman, the managing director says, so well done daughter, you have done a great job in auditing. I so observe you, you came in the morning, you are working late hours and you have finished your audit on time. So I am so appreciate your work. As a token of appreciation, please get this £2 pendant or some other gold item. Are you going to take or not? Are you going to take or not? You can take. What doesn't matter? Is that correct? No. You have to see what is your objective. What is your objectivity? For as far as external auditor is concerned, what is the objective? As far as external auditor is concerned, look at this diagram carefully, please, right? So look at this diagram carefully. As far as external auditor is concerned, what is your objectivity? As far as external auditor is concerned, remember that, right? Forget this. So there is a shareholders or owners of the business. The shareholders that they don't have a time to involve to the business activities, and they are not expert in the business activities. So therefore the shareholders have invested money in a business called, shall we say, ABC Private Limited, right? And appoint someone called management to run the business. The management is running the business on behalf of shareholders. Whose business? Shareholders' business, right? This is called stewardship, otherwise agency concept. So now this is management, this is shareholders. The shareholders have invested money in the business. These two parties are two different legal entities, but shareholders wants to know what happened to my money. Now if you have invested some amounts in the business organization, you want to know what happened to your money, right? Now example, you fed up with chartered. You fed up with chartered, right? We'll say doing and failing, so you are not doing properly, so you fed up with chartered. Now you want to, you forget about the studies and you want to start up a bakery in the junction, bread bakery, right? So, but you don't have any time to go to the bakery, so you are appointed to someone in the village, okay, or someone in the nearby, so you do the bakery and end of the day give me the money, or end of the week give me the money. So one of the uncle, one of the relation in your family, so he is conducting the business, but money has been put by you. Now what you want to know? You want to know what happened to my money. When that particular person gives you 500 rupees end of the day as a profit, are you happy? Are you happy? As a human, we don't believe others. Since we don't believe others, the shareholders, as a shareholder, you don't believe the management. Since shareholders don't believe the management, the shareholder wants to know what is happening to wants to know what has happened, or what happened to my business, what is the status. So therefore the management is communication to the shareholders what happened to my business. That is called financial statement. That is what the father of accounting introduced the double entry system. Why? To communicate the business result to the shareholders. Even though the business result is communicated to the shareholders, shareholders are not going to trust the management. Why? Now, just think like this. If you apply for a job, when you go for a interview or a final before the appointment letter is given, or a final interview, they are telling you, okay, carry a characteristic certificate, right? What you do, you go home and take a paper and write, certifying my character. I am Vipula Bandar, I am a very good character, I can do whatever the works given by anyone, so I am a good character, yours sincerely, Vipula Bandar. Is that a character certificate? Yes. But the problem is, that is not going to be accepted by another third party. Similarly, the character certificate given by you on your character is not going to be relied by the third party person. Similarly, the financial results of the management, financial results of the company prepared by the management is not going to be relied by the shareholders. So that is why the shareholders appoint a third party person called practitioner. Look here, I have invested in some of the business, I have invested my money, but I don't have a trust on this management. I don't know whether this financial results or financial performance or a financial position is correct. Please look into this and give me an opinion. Give me opinion as to whether this financial statements prepared by management contains material misstatement, right? So that is what called simply auditing, right? Now this practitioner comes and check the financial statement, that's entire diagram. This is called auditing, right? In this particular diagram, coming back to your objectivity, what is your objectivity? Your objectivity is to state that the financial statement prepared by the management is free from material misstatement. So, while you are conducting this audit, right, shall we say that Watch Jewellers example. So, Watch Jewellers managing director has given £2 pendant or a chain or something gold item to that person called Srimani or X, right? Now, first day the pendant was given. Thank you very much. So I didn't expect this type of one, and you appreciate. He also appreciate you. Nicely, you go home and you tell your parents, I got a gift today. Nobody has given me a gift, something like that. Right? But the question, tomorrow you are getting a call from the managing director of Watch Jewellers. I'm telling this hypothetical example, right? So, how are you, daughter? And all that is being discussed, and then says, and now you also have very much respect on him. So, daughter, there's a small thing. I think you have highlighted there was a 2.5 million issue which has not been understated the profit or something, some adjustment to be done. So, can you avoid that? Can you avoid that? Now the problem comes into your mind. What? Problem comes into your mind. What is your objectivity? Your objectivity is to state that the financial statement prepared by the management is free from material misstatement, but there's a personal influence come into your back mind. This person gave me a 2 pendant chain or 2 pendant, something, okay, shall we say pendant? So, £2 pendant. How can I disregard his request? How can I disregard his request? Now the complication comes. Your objectivity is something else, but your objectivity is being challenged with personal influences. As an auditor, you cannot. You have to maintain your objectivity under whatever the circumstances. Right? Third one, professional competence and due care. Professional competence. Now, any chartered accountant, you go and ask from today, what are the impact to the financial statement because of COVID-19? If any chartered accountant in this profession is not in a position to answer for that question, what is not there? Professional competence, right? There are so many IRD changes the Inland Revenue Department has continuously issuing the guideline of last 3 months if you see. As a practice in chartered accountant, clients come and ask from you, what is called APIT? Do you know APIT? Advanced Personal Income Tax. Or what is the pay rate that I should pay if my salary is 300,000? You are telling slowly, I don't know. Can I check and come back to you? We'll give you a very funny example, right? You go for a doctor, and doctor is telling, son, today Panadol is not there, but I will give you the paracetamol, so you take this one. You ask from a doctor, since I don't know this, only I'm asking, what is the difference between the Panadol and the paracetamol? Doctor says, doctor also telling, I also don't know, can I check and come back to you? Finished. Will you go back to that doctor? You will never go to that doctor. Similarly, for a chartered accountant who are in practice as well as who are in business, need to have a professional competence. The professional competence means you should be able to deliver your services as the client expected with all the recent changes. You should be aware. If somebody will say IFRS 9, 15, 16, all the accounting standard latest update, so the Chartered Institute is issuing all these guidelines, you need to be aware. Professional competence. You should be able to deliver the service that is required by your client. And due care. This is most important thing that you don't have. There is a board meeting, I'm saying a small example for due care. There is a board meeting at 9 o'clock, you are coming as a finance director as 9:15. You don't have a due care. That's a very basic example, but due care meaning is something which is advanced. So due care, when you are doing something for the client or in your organization as a financial job, you need to give the adequate care of that work. You need to do properly that job, right? So that is called professional competence and due care. Then the next one is the most critical and important one, confidentiality. This will be tested at your examination in a little bit on a more practical way. I can give you 1,000 examples for this. Now some of you are working in audit firm, some of you are working in some other places. Oh, just imagine, just check the rough sheets, the rough sheet that you are using for the calculation for a short note. From where you got? From where you got? You got from office. Did you see the other side of that paper? Did you think about the confidentiality? Now say you are a auditor of a John Keel Holding. We'll say you are a JKH auditor. Okay. Now you are audit associate. You conduct the audit verification at your client place, and then there are some printouts. So there are draft printouts, which need to be destroyed now. But other side you can write something, so therefore you tell to your senior, or okay, I will take these papers and for my short note purpose at home. It's a normal thing, right? Then you take those papers and you come to the canteen of CH Sri Lanka, or you come to the library hall for the studies. You do those calculation of short notes and you keep on your table and you go away. You go to the home and one or two papers can be kept, so it's a normal thing. But in the evening there is a discussion at the CH Sri Lanka with the chairman of the John Keel Holding. He comes to the CH Sri Lanka premises and he goes to the canteen. When you go to the canteen, so he was sitting, he sit in one table, and there was a discussion going on, and there are 2-3 people other side, and there are one paper in the table. Surprised to see John Keel Holding confidential finance statements are on a canteen, on a table of a canteen of CH Sri Lanka. Look at here. The management, what is our objectivity? Our objectivity is to state that the finance statements are free from material misstatement. While you are conducting that audit, you need to maintain the confidentiality. You cannot disclose the information that you gather as part of your professional and business relationships, right? You cannot disclose. So therefore, think about this confidentiality factor while you are working also. But for any chartered accountant, the confidentiality is a very important aspect, right? So we'll say, now you just imagine something like that, confidentiality, how important. Shall we say you are an auditor of a Coca-Cola. So Coca-Cola, that mixing of that chemical items are known only by the management, not the management, sometimes only the 1 or 2 people of the business organization. But if you are an auditor of that particular company, all the legal provisions are vested with the auditor, particular auditor, the auditor must be given all the information of the business organization, what are relevant. So therefore, auditor has the access to information. Shall we say I am the auditor of Coca-Cola? So tomorrow some other company called Kick-Cola or some other company comes and tell me I am auditor of Coca-Cola, will assume that. So okay, look here, we will give you a $5 million USD and we will give you a house in Australia. Please get that mix and give it to us. Now I am thinking $5 million USD. I am thinking in Sri Lanka we can't earn this one, and house to be given in Australia. So I am thinking now, of course different thinking, but I am thinking that much of thing. Even if I am as a chartered accountant practicing for another 20 years, I will not be able to earn that money. So I will be thinking. Then as auditor sometime I can do, but can I do? I cannot do. Why? I have to maintain the confidentiality as a chartered accountant. Irrespective of whether the chartered accountant in business or a practice, I need to maintain the confidentiality. I cannot use the information that I gathered during my professional work for me or third party for personal advantage. It cannot be done. Remember that, right? Remember. So therefore confidentiality, but also there is a remember that fact that, so there are 3 exceptions for this. Remember that confidentiality can be breached on 3 circumstances, right? Number 1 circumstances, if it is required as part of a legal matter. For example, shall we say I am auditor of one of the company that is subject to a, shall we say, legal case. The court magistrate issued the notice to me, please give this information. Can I go to the court and tell, no, look here judge, I cannot disclose my information because I have to maintain the confidentiality that has made mandatory for me by the CSE Lanka. Can I tell? You cannot tell. If it is required by law, you cannot. If it is required by law, you have to disclose, right? Required by law. Right? The second thing, if it is permitted by law, and authorized by the client, required by law, if it is permitted by the law and authorized by the client. And third scenario is a fantastic. If I believe as a chartered accountant, it is my professional duty or it is my professional responsibility to disclose the information, I can disclose it. How? For example, just think like I am auditing of one of the finance company. When I am auditing in that finance company, I see one of some terrorist financing activity or some illegal funds are transferred that particular finance company. So I have a responsibility. I have a responsibility, right, to disclose such information to the relevant regulatory bodies, thinking about the national security, national economy. So all these factors taken into consideration, auditor can decide whether, but it should be reasonable. So whether I can disclose or not, right? It's a professional duty. Duty or responsibility, right? So except these 3 circumstances, you cannot breach the confidentiality. The last one is the professional behavior. The professional behavior mean you should not bring your profession into disreputation. You need to maintain the chartered accountant's level. You need to maintain you should not, because of you, somebody should not blame to this entire profession because of you. So that has to be maintained. So these are the 5 fundamental principles that you need to remember, for that is applicable for all the chartered accountants. So remember that. So most important one is the confidentiality, then objectivity. These 2 are very important aspects. So therefore, as a chartered accountant, irrespective of the business or the practice, you need to maintain these fundamental principles, right? That is the number one aspect which is being discussed on this booklet, right? The second aspect, right? Second aspect called fundamental principle. Right. Second aspect, as a chartered accountant, when you practice, of course, can you maintain all this? You cannot maintain. There are enough challenges, enough problem that you have to face in day-to-day life, right? So the CA Sri Lanka and the IFAC, so CA Sri Lanka as well as IFAC, so they have identified. There are so many challenges that we have to face in this professional and business relationship, right? And how to address those challenges also are being given in this booklet, right? So here the first part is fundamental principle. The second part is, right, threats, right? When you are working as a chartered accountant, while you are maintaining this 5 fundamental principle, there will be a threats coming to you, you have to manage it, right? So there are 5 threats. Self-interest, self-review, and familiarity, intimidation, advocacy. Right. There are 5 threats that are coming in your business relationship. Number 1 is self-interest, of course. We need to look at in ourselves. To talk about the self-interest, I will ask few questions from you. At the beginning, I asked one question from you. The accountant, finance manager is so happy on your service and he is offering you to go for a dinner at Shangila. Can you or you can't? The second question, you are auditing a Shangila, you are auditor of a Shangila hotel and they are really happy of your service and end of the audit. So they are telling, okay, look here, so we are happy with about your services. So audit manager, we are ready to give this our hotel at free of charge for you to have your wedding, right? Shall we say you are going for the audit of Crispo chicken. At the end of the audit, the managing director for finance control of the company is so happy and giving you the 10 kilogram of chicken you to carry to home. You are auditor of the Renko umbrella company, that was a rainy day and you haven't carried an umbrella. It's an umbrella company. So you are given an umbrella by the company because it was a rainy day. Can you take that umbrella? These are challenges. Those are challenges. Can or cannot decision has to be made, right? While you are trying to maintain this this fundamental principle, these threats could arise in the business dealing. So self-interest means you will look after yourself. You will look after yourself. Rather, our main objectivity. What is our main objectivity? Management, shareholder, auditor comes and check the financial statement. Financial statements are free from material misstatement. That is our main objectivity. I am more focusing on the practicing side, but we will discuss the other side as well, right? So self-interest, rather this is the objective. So you may think about yourself. Shall we say you are auditor of a prime land? So you are auditor of a prime land. So you need to land in Colombo. So while you are doing the audit, one of the manager comes and tell you, okay, we will give you a 50% discount to your land. Now, and the next day, the management comes and tell you, we will give you a free of land, please don't do this adjustment. Now your mind is working whether with the land or financial statement, self-interest, land or financial statement, whether to get the land or whether to give the finance statement correctly. So that is called self-interest. Then remember that in this booklet, especially CL1 study text. There are 12 practical scenarios, 12 practical scenarios which you need to aware. So your CL1 paper, the case study that is going to be attended by you may be one of those case studies or 2-3 make it 2-3 combination. Then the self-review. The self-review mean what? The self-review mean you are going to check something. You are going to check something which is done by yourself. For example, we'll say there are many companies, many audit firms in Sri Lanka. They are preparing the financial statement and they are conducting the audit. Is that correct? We'll discuss in detail later. What's going to happen? When you prepare the financial statement, you are going to check financial statement prepared by whom? You itself. Right? So therefore, self-review means you are going to review something prepared by yourself itself. In such circumstances, remember that. Now, for example, we'll take a good example. Your audit firm may be giving the IT services. For example, ERP implementation and all. Nowadays, audit firms are providing many things. So, ERP implementation. So, on this ERP implementation, so one of your other division has implemented to a ERP system, and the migration had taken place during the financial year, which has been audited as of now. So, you are the audit manager or audit senior. Now, you find out something wrong in the system. System is something wrong. There are a lot of weaknesses which you cannot believe the figures that are coming out from the business. From the system. Now, you are going to the managing director or finance controller, tell, okay, look here, the system is wrong. So, these figures that are coming out from this business, this system is not correct, it's not reliable. Then the finance controller will take other side and tell, okay, look here, your people only did. So therefore, internally you discuss and resolve. That is the answer going to come. But that is not a correct answer, but that is a practical answer. So therefore, the self-review threat is again it is an important thing. Auditor should not or auditor may not review something which is done by the subject matter is prepared or performed by the particular auditor itself or audit firm itself, right? So we'll discuss. So as I can remember, there are 9 case studies, there are 12 practical scenarios, there are 9 case studies on self-review in your CL1 study text which you should aware. Then the next one, the familiarity is a very important one. So because familiarity creates some problem. So shall we say this, I am the audit partner for shall we say for 10 years. What will happen? Anybody, we are humans, anybody, if I am associating a person for more than 5-6 years, what will happen? I will have a bond with them or a bond with that particular person. You just ask from yourself. You have a friend more than 5 years. What do you feel? Because of the relationship, it's very difficult psychologically to go against with them. Right? So therefore, when we are conducting as auditors, if there are too much familiarity with the management or too much association, long association with the people, of course, you will not be able to achieve your objectivity. Your objectivity will be diverted by familiarity. Right? Here only we discuss one important thing. Remember that the Sri Lanka Code of Ethics has given, carefully listen, this one is an important one, right? This is, say, each and every question of the Sri Lanka paper of the KB4, KC4 and the CL1 pilot paper, everywhere this is there. What is that? Then remember this theory. If this auditor, right? This auditor, shall we say, I will take as a KPMG. I am taking this example, right? KPMG. This KPMG, Mr. X is the audit partner. Mr. X is the audit partner, right? So now, according to the CS Sri Lanka theory, the booklet, if this company, shall we say ABC PLC, this is a PLC. If the particular auditing entity is a public interest client, remember that. Particular company which is subject to audit is a public interest client. That audit firm, the audit firm can be the auditor for indefinitely. There is no restriction for the firm. There is no restriction for the firm, but the engagement partner, we call for the people who have not seen audit firm. So audit firm, there is a managing partner. So managing partner is there, then the relevant partners are there, directors, then the managers, assistant managers, supervisors, something like there are so many people are, so that's the structure of the firm, right? So now this particular partner can maximum act as the partner of that particular audit of ABC PLC. Remember that 7 years. So this is something which you need to aware. Remember that they are not the firm but the partner of the firm, right? So it should be maximum 7 years. But if there are unforeseen circumstances, for example, only there are 2 partners, one partner is seriously ill, there is no second person, so therefore that particular partner can continue for if there is unforeseen circumstances, that particular partner can go for another 1 more year, right? And also the second part of this theory is, after 7 years that particular partner, next 2 years we call cooling period. At that cooling period, that particular partner cannot do any services for that particular client. After 2 years he can come back, right? But there is another exception given. If the relevant professional regulatory body, for example SLAS-MB, maybe CS Sri Lanka, if they have given approval for a particular partner to act as indefinitely in that particular audit, it is allowed. I am going to summarize this theory, which is very important. If you are auditing a public interest client called PLC, or may say PLC, the engagement partner of that particular audit firm for that particular audit can maximum act as engagement partner for 7 years. 1 more year he can continue if there is unforeseen circumstances. During next 2 years he cannot do anything with regard to that particular client, right? However, if the relevant professional regulatory body like SLAS-MB for in case in Sri Lanka, if they have given approval then one particular partner to continue indefinitely, it can be done, but it is not practical, right? So therefore this 7 years matter, just remember, and also remember that is not for the audit firm, it is for the partner, right? So what's going to happen there, if you are an audit partner for that particular client continuously, the familiarity threat that can come up, right? Then the intimidation. So what is meant by intimidation? We are forcing to do something. If you don't do, there will be repercussion like this. If you don't adjust this tax provision, we will take out the entire group from the firm. What is that? Intimidating you. The particular client can intimidate you. Then we will have a problem, right? Intimidation, we call in Sinhala something called Biagan meme, right? Intimidation threat. So the last one is a advocacy threat. So advocacy threat mean what? There are 2 meanings of advocacy. So we call advocate. Advocacy mean, now for example, shall we say I am the auditor of a Navalok Hospital PLC. I am the auditor of a Navalok Hospital PLC. So I come to the public media or social media and I make a special statement. As the auditor of the Navalok Hospital PLC, I am telling you this company is a very good business or a very good company, for that you should make your investment. what will happen after 2 years time? When it comes to after 2 years, what happens? The company gets collapsed. In that situation, as a chartered accountant, you have to maintain, or as a human, you need to maintain the statement that you made some time back. So therefore, in such circumstances, you are promoting. When you are promoting one client, of course, there is a threat coming, advocacy. When you are promoting, after you promote particular client, you have to maintain that your statement. To maintain in purpose that statement, you may have to divert your objectivity. Right? So that is called one meaning of advocacy. The second meaning is advocate. Have you heard that advocate? Advocate. So for example, nowadays audit firms are providing the legal services. Most of the audit firms, they have their lawyers. So in such circumstances, what will happen? As an auditor, you are a chartered accountant in practice as well as you are a lawyer, shall we say? So I am a lawyer. So I am appearing in the court on behalf of my client. In such circumstances, again, advocacy threat is arising. So therefore, remember that. So these threats, basically self-interest, self-review, familiarity, intimidation, and advocacy. So basically, remember that in your studies, you need to have a basic understanding of the fundamental principle, and you need to have understanding of the definition of the threats, and not only that, beyond something else. Then each scenario in this booklet, or in this particular, not booklet, the CL1 study text you have to refer. The study text, we are discussing 12 cases, 9 cases, 1, 1, 1. Right? So if you have a proper understanding with a short note on these practical case studies, you can write any question that are coming at examination. Right? So now I just gave you a brief introduction to this the content. So there is something to be discussed after that. So now, since we have a background now for the code of ethics, shall we go and look at the pilot paper question? Right? So pilot paper question, how that question has come, we will discuss at the end of the session that question, but just we will look at the question. Right? Always remember, as a student of the CL1 or the CA Sri Lanka, you have to be examination oriented. You have to focus in your examination. Always when you study a chapter, before that look at the past papers, look at the pilot paper, and try to understand what is the expectation of the examiner. I have seen some of the students, without understanding the examination expectation, you study everything and you memorize your definition, finally get the marks of 32, 40, 45. Right? So first look at the papers and understand what is the examiner's expectation and works towards that, because this is a professional examination. Right? So come to this one, presentation. So this is the question that is available in the pilot paper. Since we have gone through the basic now, we'll just go through this question to see whether you understand anything. Right? We'll read this one. You are a manager working for TR Associate, a firm of chartered accountants. You have been requested to handle the audit of Dodan PLC for the year ended 31st December 2019. So Dodan PLC has been in the business of manufacturing and export of heavy vehicle tires. Mr. Tissa has been the engagement partner of this audit for last 9 years and possesses excellent knowledge about the business and the client. He requested you to start planning the audit of the Dodan PLC. Further, he requested you to get his son Rajan, who is as a junior audit trainee of the firm, also involved in the planning process. Rajan got through his advanced level examination with 3 simple passes in science stream in 2019 and just registered as a student of CA Sri Lanka. Further, Mr. Tissa informed you that Nuwan is being allocated as senior in charge of the audit of Dodan PLC and he owns 25,000 shares, ordinary shares. The total number of shares issued by the Dodan PLC is 1 million shares of the company. At your initial meeting with the finance director of the company, he informed you that the audit team will not be provided a 2-night stay at 5-star hotel owned by the group this time, and as this could appear to be an attempt to influence the opinion of the audit. Instead, he will arrange a lunch for the entire audit team at a 5-star hotel once the audit is completed. The finance director also stated that the fee for taxation service this year should be based on a percentage of tax saved, and the trust that your firm will accept a fixed fee for representing Dodan PLC in a dispute regarding the amount of VAT payable to the Department of Inland Revenue. Required section is given in the question. Analyze the ethical threats which may affect the auditor of Dodan PLC. Part 2. Outline how the effect of the each threat identified in A above can be mitigated. 5 marks, 5 marks, 10 marks. Look here, right? So this is a pilot paper question. If you look at this question, it's a purely practical, right? This is something purely practical which we encounter during the practices. This is all example. So you need to have those practical understanding while reading the booklet. So this type of cases can come in practical life. So same thing could come on your auditing paper, right? So I want you to, I will discuss how to do the question later. So I want you to adapt when you are attending any question. When you are attending any question of CL1, I need you to follow a few steps, right? Always look at this presentation. Always, when you, before reading the question, read the required section, right? And also remember that in auditing paper or any CA examination, action verb is so important. Action verb is so important, right? So therefore, in all the papers, normally action verb is highlighted. But what you need to do is, you need to carry a highlighter at the examination, again highlight this action verb, because it has to be identified by your mind, and you need to practice each and every question, then automatically it will come at your examination. Otherwise you think, now I don't want to do anything, I will do at the examination. Nothing will happen with the exam pressure. No? Some people before going to the examination having so many problems, right? So many problem in the mind problem, physical problem, all problem can come up. So therefore, practice now itself. When you look at the action verb itself, you need to highlight, analyze. As a practice, you need to do. Analyze the ethical threats which may affect the auditor of Dodan PLC. Remember that. Then highlight the number of marks. I have done this one. You do here. Why I am telling you to highlight? For you to save in your mind for a temporarily. Action verb is analyzed. Number of marks is 5 marks. So 5 marks means a significant number of marks. So you need to be careful, right? And also, when you look at the number of marks only, you can figure out what is the required answer of the examiner, required level of the answer. So therefore, you need to highlight this one. And also, then I want you to put these two, whether that is P or T. Whether it is P or T. That means whether that question is a practical question or a theoretical question. If you really look at this question, it is a practical question, right? So you need to follow these steps, then easy for you to get practice, right? Number 1, highlight the action verb. Number 2, highlight the number of marks, and then put whether this is T or P, theory or practical question, right? Then you have to come back to the case study and you have to read the case study again, right? And again you have to go back to the required part and you have to see analyze the ethical threats which may affect the auditor of Dodan PLC. Remember that in auditing paper, don't try to write essays. Some people think that the examiner, the person who is looking at the answer script doesn't know auditing, so therefore I have to write too much information. No, you write to the point in a point form. I always believe, because auditing is a practical subject where you are not supposed to write so much of complex explanation. You can answer to the point in a point form. I always encourage students to write in auditing on point form, not essays. And also decide the quantum, the quantity of the answer looking at the number of marks. So analyze the ethical threat which may affect the auditor of Dodan PLC, 5 marks. You need to automatically pick in your mind, at least I need to find, right, 5 answers. If it is test required 5, minimum write 6. And when you are writing 6, also remember that you are not going to write the order which you see in the question, right? So that question I will discuss later, how that question I will discuss later. So then the part 2 of the question is outline how the effect of each threat identified in part above. So right, okay, come back here. So now you see, so we have discussed the fundamental principle of a chartered accountant, any chartered accountant. Then we discussed the threats that are coming in the business organization, that are coming when you are dealing in the professional, when you are working in a organization as a chartered accountant, or when you are practicing, all these threats could arise, right? Now fundamental principles need to be maintained, but there are some practical threats that are coming. So what can I do? What can I do? Remember one thing, save this statement in your mind, right? If there is a something which is to be done at the end, should not be done as pressed. What I was trying to say, if there is a something that you need to do at end, at finally, you should not do as the pressed action. I will tell you the to explain this one, I will just give you a very life basic example. Farmers will say, you are cultivating something in somewhere in, shall we say, maybe Anuradhapura Polannaru Tanamalvila or Vonaragala, somewhere you do some cultivation. Not you, for one of the farmer. When you do cultivation, shall we say paddy or maize or something, there are so many threats that are coming for the cultivation. Wild elephant can come up, right? Or maybe the drought situation, maybe no water, or maybe flood. There are so many threats that are coming in your cultivation. In such circumstances, what you are going to do? So you are going to do, as a farmer, you are just giving up, I don't want this cultivation. No. You are trying to take enough precautionary measures. If we will take wild elephant threat, so if the wild elephants are coming, you are trying to take the precautionary measures, maybe elephant fence you will put, or maybe something like, so in the night you will be there in the premises, or you will put the something like lights or something you can do, right? So what I am trying to tell there, rather giving up at the initial stage itself, getting scared for the threat and rather giving up, you can take the precautionary measures in advance to prevent or mitigate the threat. You cannot eliminate, but to mitigate the threat, you can do certain action, certain thing, and try to manage the situation. If this becomes worst, you have applied so many precautionary measures, but still you cannot implement, all the precautionary measures are fail. What would happen? No alternatives, you have to give up the cultivation. Similarly, when a chartered accountant practices in his life, in professional places, maybe the practicing or a business, when you are if you are working as an accountant or auditor or finance director or CEO, you need to maintain these 5 fundamental principles. While you are maintaining these 5 fundamental principles, threats are arising. Just because of threats are arising, we are not going to come out from the job, or we are not going to give up the situation. So we are trying to adapt something called the precautionary measures. There is something we call safeguards, right? As a chartered accountant, when you practice, there are so many challenges that are coming. While you are maintaining the professional fundamental principle, you are not just coming out, you have to maintain you have to apply something called safeguard, which are precautionary measures, right? So safeguard means, for example, I will tell you something. Shall we say, now this is a good example, right? For safeguard, this is a good example. Most of the people, most of you also, when you are working in audit firm, you are paid, shall we say you are paid, not shall we say, it's a reality. So you are paid maybe a small allowance. That allowance, not enough. You feel not enough. So now you are paid, shall we say, 10,000. So now while you are working in a third year, you are always looking at what? How to get a job at my client place. That is the reality. So what will happen there? You are always looking at a job at the particular client place, right? Once you are looking at a job this year and you have joined that particular client. The next year audit, there is a team coming for the audit. Accountant is the previous year audit firm senior. Accountant is the previous year audit firm senior. There are new people coming. Now, what is the threat coming in that circumstances? What is the threat arising? The familiarity, as well as intimidation. Why? Since the previous year audit senior and this year audit senior both are friends, the familiarity. Intimidation, why? The current audit senior's boss is the accountant. Current audit senior's previous boss is the accountant at the client place. So intimidation threat also could come up. Just because of that threat come in, you cannot just escape. So you have to do something that is called safeguard. What you can do is, you can change that particular senior for this year and you take a completely a new person from outside and put it to the audit. Or you can tell to the management, look here, our previous year audit senior is your accountant, please take him away from this year audit finalization, right? So that can be informed. And also the another safeguard that you can think of is, so let same team to continue the work, appoint another third party professional accountant to come and check the work that is done by the audit team, right? So therefore, the very important thing now I am going to tell you, the safeguard. On this particular case studies, 12 case studies, 9, 12, 9, 21, about 24 case studies which is there in the CL1 study text, we will discuss in summary. Then remember that in such circumstances, what is the safeguard? What is the safeguard? What to write is purely practical. Look at this question. Again, come back to the presentation. Look at this question. There is a scenario given. In that scenario, you have to analyze the threat and outline how each effect you are going to mitigate. So therefore, this is the most difficult part of your CL1 Advanced Audit and Assurance Code of Ethics part. How to apply the safeguard purely practical. But I will tell you the easy approach. What you need to look at is, always remember, rather memorizing the safeguard, try to think in more logical, rational way. Then at the examination, whatever the question that is given by the examiner, you have a rational way of thinking to get the safeguard. I will discuss few case studies within it's very short time only there, we will see, right? So safeguard, basically in theory, there are two types of safeguard. One is safeguards created by legislation, right, or legislation or regulations, legislation. Other one is created by firm or entities on system, right? There are two types of safeguards created by legislation and safeguard created by firm or existing on system. There are different to theory, but theory is something else, but you need to look at it in more practical way. We will discuss few case studies. So safeguard created by legislation mean, For example, the regulation professional body or a legislation has itself given certain guideline to safeguard from certain threat. For example, the continuous professional development CPD hours. Being a chartered accountant, if you are a chartered accountant, you need to maintain the minimum number of hours for your studies or your training. That must be maintained, that has made mandatory by the Sri Lanka when you are renewing your membership certificate. Why that has been given? To maintain the professional competence. So that is one of the example for the legislation, example CPD, right. Then created by the firm's entities on system. So the firm system itself, there are some safeguard which has been in the firm system itself. For example, we'll say partner rotation, so most of the audit firm, there is internal policies. They are within to avoid the familiarity. So the if it is a PLC, it is mandatory for a partner to be changed in every 7 years. But all other companies also. So there is internal policies of the firm that the partner has to be changed in every 5 years, 7 years. There are policies like that, right? So those are the theory of the safeguard. So this is the summary in your chapter that you have to basically learn: fundamental principle, threats and the safeguard. This is a basic theory. Now we have to look at the practical application. So practical application, so we will discuss separately. This is the theory, right? Okay, we will look at the practical application. Now we learn the theory and the safeguard theory and the threats theory. Now we will quickly look at the practical application. I will not have time to discuss all the practical application. Practical application, if for you to note down and keep. So this much of practical application, 12 cases, 9 case scenarios, 1, 1, 1. So these practical case scenarios, you should remember, you need to put a short note. I will give you a format how to put the short note. So I will not have a time to discuss all the case scenarios with the limited time, but I have given you the framework for you to how you should study looking at the study text, right? So come back to the presentation. So contents of Code of Ethics booklet. So this booklet has 3 sections, as I told you. Part A, fundamental principles applicable to all members, professional accountant in public practice. Part B, Part C, professional accountants in business, right? So then basically we discuss in theory the fundamental principle. We already discussed there are 5 fundamental principles. There are 5 threats in practical application. I just discussed with you the basic of threats of fundamental principle, and the safeguard I just discussed with you. So safeguard, 2 safeguards are they are safeguard created by the professional legislation or regulation, and safeguard within the assurance client firm's own system and procedures. So example, quality control procedure. I give another example here, partner rotation. So then the practical application, when we come to the practical application, look at this presentation. The practical application, there are basically the self-interest threat. You can see there are 12 practical scenarios which you need to aware. What are the, right, can you look at here again, when you analyze any practical case scenario, right, you need to follow these steps. When you are applying any practical scenario, remember these steps. The number 1, you need to identify the threat. When you look at any practical scenario, first of all identify the threat. What is the threat? Self-interest, self-preview, familiarity, intimidation, or advocacy. Number 2, look at, because of this threat, what is the fundamental principle that is going to be affected? The fundamental principle affected. So identify the second one. So note down and keep, right? So how to analyze a practical case scenario, there are 5 steps. Number 1, identify the threat. Number 2, identify the fundamental principle that is going to be affected. And number 3, most important question. There are some practical scenarios where the safeguards cannot be applied. There are certain practical scenarios where no safeguard unless you withdraw, right? So therefore, before thinking of the safeguard at your examination, first ask from yourself whether the safeguard can mitigate the threat or no safeguards are available. So therefore third one, look at whether safeguards available or not. There are certain case studies you cannot apply the safeguard. So that is that question. Number one, identify the threat, identify the fundamental principle affected. Number three, whether safeguard is available or not is a very important question. I will discuss at the practical case scenario. And number four, right, if yes, identify appropriate safeguard, right, appropriate safeguard, if yes, identify appropriate safeguards, right. And number five, if no, right, if no, decide next action. That means withdrawal, right. So this five, I don't know whether it is clear or not because I wrote it down, but remember, again I am telling, when you look at a practical case scenario in the practical case studies of Code of Ethics, remember 5 steps. What is number one? The number one is identify the threat. Number two, identify the fundamental principle that is going to be affected. Number three, so crucial, identify whether safeguard is available or not. There are certain circumstances no safeguard available. And number four, if yes, write down the appropriate safeguard, right. Number five, if no, decide the next action, that means withdrawing from the assignment or a work, right. So these are the steps that you need to follow when you address the practical case scenarios, practical circumstances that are faced by a chartered accountant as per the CSE Lanka Code of Ethics for Professional Accountant. So in your CL1 study text, so come here, CL1 study text, the practical, this come here to presentation. So CL1 study text has given basically 12 scenarios of 12 scenarios of self-interest threat and self-review rate, basically 8, 3, 3, 6, 8. So this has to be changed, right, 8. And then, so one explanation for familiarity threat, advocacy and intimidation. This you shall remember, right. So now I will take here one case scenario, right. I will take one case scenario and I will explain in detail. Balance I will explain on the fence, so then you can read the study text, right. So out of this I will take one case scenario in this practical application. So I will take up gift and hospitality. Right, one case scenario I will take, that is gift and hospitality. Right, gift and hospitality. So if you look at here, I told you any practical case scenario you need to address on 5 lines, right. So what I am recommending you in your you have to read the study text and put this short note in this particular format, right. So 12 case scenarios on self-interest, 8 case scenario of self-review, advocacy, familiarity, intimidation. There is a one explanation. So the about 23 cases you should remember, right. So then, so I am going to analyze one now, the gift and hospitality, whether you can take or not. Or I can take a little longer case study also. We'll take up then we'll take up the financial interest number one. So then number one, financial interest. So you can put a short note right, financial interest, so number 1 case, and then threat, then fundamental principle, sorry, all right, case, example, then threat, affected, fundamental principle, then safeguards, available or not, right, and if yes, what are the safeguards? Right. So I want you to analyze all 22 case studies or 24 case studies on this format. Read the study text, put in this format, you will remember everything. End of the day, this is only a one chart, you can remember all practical scenarios. Write any question of CL paper, you will be able to answer, I guarantee you, right. So then what the first case is? Financial interest. Financial interest. So example for financial interest is, now for example, so financial interest mean what? The audit firm, for example, as a practitioner inside, right? Here is come management, here comes shareholders, here comes auditor. In addition to the being the auditor of the company, right? One of the partner of this audit firm, partner 1, is also a shareholder of the company. Audit firm partner, audit firm, the responsibility is to state that the finance statements are free from material misstatement. In addition to that, this particular one of the partner of the firm has a shares in the investment. They have made an investment of the company. What's going to happen now? There are dual objectives. One is, as the auditor, you have to maintain the independency. At the meantime, the particular one of the influence partner is also shareholder of the company. Now he has two interests. One is the firm interest, second is as a shareholder interest. So this is one of the example for the financial interest. Audit firm partner, one of the audit firm partner holds shares, right? Hold shares is one of example. So hold shares for the financial interest. So that the audit firm, the financial interest mean what? The audit firm has an interest beyond the auditing objectives, that is called financial interest. So what is the threat? Of course this is a self-interest, right? Of course this is a self-interest. Affected fundamental principle, basically objectivity, as well as this is going to be affected with the professional behavior as well. Because why? So if you are a audit firm partner as well as if you are a shareholder of that particular company, what the public will think? So chartered accountants are doing some wrong work, so that means your profession comes into the disreputation. So basically professional behavior also going to be affected. The safeguard is available or not? This is a very important question. Whether before applying to the safeguard, whether the safeguards are available or not. This is the most important and critical aspect. most important and critical aspect, whether this particular scenario, the financial interest the audit firm partner holds shares, that particular example can be mitigated or can be managed by applying the safeguard or not. That question is at the examination is very important. Yes. Answer yes. How you can manage? How you can manage? You need to look at what are the investment, what is the investment. Maybe he has only 1 share or 2 share of the billion shares. So immediately you can't come to a conclusion just because of a shareholder of the firm, you need to take action. So what you can do is, there are enough safeguards available, right? So enough safeguard available. What you can do is, dispose the interest. So dispose, it's a small shares, dispose. If it is a big one, if it is a, shall we say, more than 50%, 60% investment, of course you can't be, it's not possible, no safeguard available. That is why I am telling. So yes, depends on material influence level, right? This is why I am telling, at the examination don't memorize, you have to think in more logical way. If it is a small share, yes, you have the safeguard, but if it is a very big one, you cannot, so no safeguard available unless disposing the interest. The number 2, inform to the audit committee. Inform to the audit committee. And number 3, that particular person should be removed from the engagement team, right? Person to be removed from engagement team, right? So that type of safeguard can be applied in this particular scenario, right? So similarly, I want you to prepare the short note for all these 22 case studies. If you can do this short note, you will be one of the student who is going to get through this time. Believe me. You can study entire this booklet or a study text, but no, these 22 case studies, if you can put in this format, believe me, you will get through the examination, getting this 10, especially this 10 marks you can get off this paper, right? So I'm coming back to the practical application chart, right? I'm not going to discuss each one by one. It will take about more than 15-20 hours. That much of things are there to discuss, but I will just tell you in summary in this presentation, right? I was discussing with you the financial interest, and number 2 is close business relationship. That means audit firm is engaging in the business activities with the particular client. In such circumstances, self-interest is arising that you need to take the action. Then number 3, employment with an assurance client. This is what I told you. So when you are working in audit firm sometime, you are looking at the future job opportunities at the client place. So in such circumstances, the self-interest threat arising because your objectivity is not only to achieve the financial statement objective, but also to get the job that is going to come in future. So in such circumstances, you need to take precautionary measures, safeguard to manage that situation. Next one is a partner on client board. Highlight and keep this one. Partner on client board. Remember that this is a very serious scenario. The partner on client board mean audit firm partner is going to be the director of the company, which is not allowed at all. Remember that, which is not allowed at all, that cannot be done. There are certain circumstances which you cannot do. And the family and personal relationship, remember this scenario also. For example, audit firm partner's daughter is the financial director of the company. Or audit firm partners, one of the relation is their accountant. Or forget all these things, you are the audit senior, your wife is the accountant at the client place. The close and family relationship, all these circumstances, you need to look at one thing, that is what is the level of influence. For example, just recruited audit trainee or audit associate is audit associate girlfriend is the account executive there, junior account executive. Will not have a big problem. Why? The influencing ability we have to look at in more rational and the more logical way. We have to look at in more rational and the logical way and more practical way. whether the such type of influence could make a decision, could make changes to the decision of the audit partner. Then gift and hospitality, remember that I asked you a lot of question at the beginning whether the visa can be taken, or whether the strangula, the dinner you can go, or crisp chicken 10 gram, or watch jewelers 2 pound pendant, whether you can take or not. Remember that this theory, the gift and hospitality, remember that unless it is clearly insignificant, the Code of Ethics says, unless it is clearly insignificant, you shall not take any gift and hospitality. Unless it is clearly insignificant. Then now we'll think about, like, when you go for audit, they after audit is over, everything is finished, and you have side of the accounts, and they are sending you a notebook or pen. It is insignificant. So you need to look at, always remember the examination, you need to look at what the purpose of giving this gift, or what the purpose of this offering this hospitality. You need to look at in a more practical angle, right? So therefore, unless it is clear insignificant, in general, auditor shall not accept the gift and hospitality. The loans and guarantees, so audit firm should not take any loans or should not give any loans to the particular client, because it creates a self-interest threat. And the overdue fees mean some of the companies' fees are long outstanding, not paid. Some companies are not paying the fees outstanding for us, so it creates a self-interest threat. Why? We have to incur a lot of cost at the firm, because you need to remember the audit firm also the profit-making ventures, not the charitable organization. Some of our society people are including our audit associate, and some people think the audit firms are charitable organization. Audit firm also are business entities, need to make profit. To make the profit, the pay salary, pay rent, a lot of expenses are incurred. So therefore, if the client has not paid the fee for long period of time, then we are not ready to incur, we are not ready to send the additional staff or additional resources for the particular audit of this year, which reduce the audit quality. That is why it is addressed here as a self-interest. Then percentage of contingent fees, remember that. So percentage of contingent fees mean, now for example, look at here, one of the company comes and tell you, so your fees, your taxation fee, we will pay your tax fee like this. Your audit fee will be profit before tax into 5% is the audit fee, or 2%. Your audit fee is PBT into 2%. Whatever the tax you are going to save through the tax planning, tax savings, into 25% is your fee. This is audit fee, this is tax fee. So audit fee, profit before tax into 2% your audit fee. What as auditor, what you will be doing? I will try to increase the profit as far as possible, then I will get more audit fee. Is that correct? It is wrong. So similarly, the tax fee also you are going to decide the fees based on the percentage of something else, some other subject matter which is not acceptable in line with the Code of Ethics. Your fees should be decided based on the actual time spent by your professional resources. So therefore, contingent fees are not allowed for the audit assurance services. Remember, in Code of Ethics they are talking about the two types of thing: assurance services, non-assurance services. Assurance services mean what? Basically audit and review. Non-assurance service mean audit firm provide many other services, maybe tax, outsourcing, internal audit, business process solution, or accounting, bookkeeping, IT services, recruitment services, lot. So therefore, for those other services are discouraged, but audit, of course, it's not allowed, right? Then high percentage of fees. For example, we'll say you have audit firm. So you have audit firm, only you have three client. You have only three client. One client income is 100,000. Other client income is 50,000. Third client income is 1 million. Right? Look at here. Your income is 1,150,000. So what happens here? If you lose this client, If you lose this 1 million client, what will happen? Your firm will not be able to continue for a foreseeable future. So what as audit partner, what you will try to do, whatever the circumstances, what the adjustment or anything what is required by this client, you will adjust, you will agree. So that is the risk that then again we are talking about the self-interest rate. So that is called high percentage of fees. So audit firms need to take the precautionary measures to manage this type of situation. Then the low bowling, next one, low bowling is an interesting one. The low bowling mean what? The low bowling mean, shall we say, one audit firm called X, quote him for one work 150,000, right? Oh, 1.5 million, right? Another audit firm, small audit firm which is established this year called Y, quote him 50,000 for this work. What happened? The global audit firm is quoting 1.5 million for this one, but for a small audit firm they are asking 50,000 for this work. So this is called undercutting, low bowling. So which is again create a self-interest threat. So therefore they need to be careful of when the low bowling is made by the audit firm, right? Then the last one, recruitment services. I told you as the audit firm not only doing audit now, even though we call audit firm as of now, we can't tell the audit firm. So other than the audit they do all the things now. Recruitment services. What happens there? Now shall we say one of my client come and tell me, so I want to recruit a finance director, I don't have a financial background, can you recruit someone and give it to us? So as an audit firm recruitment division, what we will do is, we will put advertisement and we will identify, we will shortlist and we will have the interview and we will select 3 people and we will give it to our client. Okay, you one of the 3 you select and you recruit. What the risk factor here is, if something goes wrong with that particular person, when you are conducting the audit, you get to know that person has not done a proper work and all the bookkeeping is upset. And lot of adjustments are not done in the accounts. You go to the board of directors and complaining, so this finance director has not done this work, and then it is difficult to conclude the audit. So the managing director will come back to us and say, look here, so you only provided these services, you only recruited, now you manage with him. So now our objectivity is diverted, our objectivity is diverted for a different direction, right? So that is why we need to be careful of recruitment. So these are the 12 case scenarios. Come back to the presentation. So these are the 12 case scenarios which self-interest threat in practical application. I urge you, so I request you, so do this short note, please do this short note for entire 12 case studies. So I am not in a position to discuss one by one in detail. So but I recommend you to put this my format, use this my format and put this short note for this 12 case studies. Coming back to the next one, self-preview threat. So under self-preview threat there are basically 3, 3, 6 and 8 case scenarios. So this again case scenario, again you should remember the self-preview threat mean what? So what we did we are going to review, right? So in such circumstances, remember that one important theory here, the same short note you have to apply, one important theory, remember that. If you are auditing a public interest client, remember that these rules are more stringent, so more difficult, also more tough. If you are auditing a ABC Private Limited in Nugegoda, you can do the bookkeeping, you can do the preparation of finance statement and you can do the audit also. That is what practically happening. It is not prohibited on the code of ethics. If it is a private limited, you can apply the appropriate safeguard and you can do that one. So what are the appropriate safeguard is one thing called in this theory called Chinese wall. Chinese wall, what is that? Chinese wall, have you heard that? So Chinese wall mean what? In the firm, within the call, shall we say ABC and Co. audit firm, inside the audit firm, there is a separate division for audit, separate division for tax, separate division for internal audit, right? There is no interconnected between these 3 divisions. There is no interconnected. The people are not engaged. So there is a separate wall. We call virtual wall, that is Chinese wall. So no interconnected. 2 different people are doing the 2 different jobs. So this could happen at the audit division level itself, in the audit firm itself, audit division itself, there can be a 2-3 we call allocations, LO1, LO2, LO3, LO4, LO5. So if within the division also there can be within the division, of course, so there can be Chinese wall. So this will be the one of the safeguard for the self-review threat mainly. So remember that, therefore it's a private limited company. Bookkeeping and auditing is possible provided you take the appropriate safeguard. But remember this, if you are auditing a public interest client, remember, bookkeeping services and preparing financial statement and providing payroll services are not allowed. Bookkeeping, preparing financial statement and the payroll services are not allowed. Remember that. All these services are listed down, in the presentation, corporate finance, internal audit, tax, valuation, other services. Remember that the rules in relation to the PLC more stringent, more tough. So therefore, if it is a non-PLC, you can apply the safeguard and can be done so many things. But if it is a PLC, you have to be very careful because there is a public interest involved there. So therefore, I am not going to discuss the self-review threat practical scenarios, recent service with assurance client, general other services, preparing accounting records and financial statement, valuation services main. For example, audit firms have their own valuers now, property valuation, actuarial valuation. So why property valuation is not allowed for PLC? You remember, if there is a land and building, investment property, accounting, or if there is an investment property, so the investment property has to be measured at fair value. Shall we say that we are following the fair value approach? So it has to be measured at fair value. That valuation assignment has been given to the firm, and the firm is engaged into the valuing the property. What happens here at the end of the audit, you are going to review the fair value of that particular property. As auditor, there is a separate auditing standard you need to look at. So when you look at that, now you are going to challenge the assumption that are made by the valuer. Who is the valuer? Valuer is your firm. Then even if there is obvious mistake, will you challenge? You will not challenge. Right? That is where it says self-review threat. When the self-review threat is so significant, of course, there are no safeguard to reduce the risk to an acceptable low level, so you need to withdraw from the engagement. So likewise, the next one, tax services. Generally, tax services can be provided except tax planning type of thing, but all other services can be provided because most of the companies audit and tax are done together, most of the similar medium level businesses and the small level businesses. Internal audit services, corporate finance and other services, the same theory is applied. Remember, again I am summarizing the self-review threat. In theory, self-review threat, always for a PLC it's a stringent, so more tough the rules are applicable. But for a private limited company, it can be done provided applying the appropriate safeguard. Example, assigning 2 teams to do the work, that is called Chinese wall. That type of safeguard can be applied and you can do those services, right? Then the practical application for other aspects, for familiarity threat, partner rotation of public interest client, I have already discussed with you about 1 hour back, if you can remember. For a particular partner, audit firm can be act as an auditor for indefinitely for any company, there is no restriction, but for one of the partner can act only maximum number of years, 7 years, but another 1 more years can go if there is unforeseeable circumstances. And if the regulatory body has given the approval, then that audit firm partner can continue for a indefinite time. But when the audit firm partner comes out after 7 years, another 2 more years, that particular engagement partner can't do anything in relation to that client, right? So advocacy threat, I discussed 2 scenarios on advocacy threat: promoting the clients as well as advocating appearing on behalf of the court, on behalf of the client in the court. Last one is intimidation threat. So intimidation threat has not been tested in a big way. So intimidation threat mean what? So you are forced to do something, and like a blackmail type of thing. If you don't do this one, this will happen. Something like that, right? So those are the practical scenarios which you need to look at, which you need to have understanding on this particular code of ethics discussion, right? So I'll just come to the question now, the pilot paper question. Right? So I want to take some time and do with you this pilot paper question, right? So again, if I summarize this chapter, what you need to look at is right, code of ethics. Remember, in auditing, no point in remembering all the auditing standard. Everything what after you learn, you have to put that into a one summary, one page summary. Whatever the standard you are learning, or whatever the additional chapters you are learning, one page should be there. That one page, whatever important thing that you need to write that one page, that's all. Right? So that practice you need to take. But the code of ethics will be difficult, but going forward in auditing standard we'll do properly. But this I will try to summarize. So code of ethics, basically we learn number one, fundamental principle. Right? So I'm not going to list down. Number two, threats. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Self-review. Self-interest. Self-review. Advocacy. Intimidation and familiarity, right? Then number three, safeguards. Safeguard, there are two safeguards, right? One is created by the regulation, other one created by the firm or entity, right? And in addition to that, there is another thing which you need to learn in this chapter, other concepts, so which I have not discussed yet. So other concept, there are few concepts that you need to aware. So if you here look at integrity, objectivity, professional competence and due care, confidentiality and professional behavior. So this is your summary of your chapter, right? So but here is the most important things come here. So there are 12 case studies, 8 case studies, 1, 1, 1, right? So this you need to, this practical application you need to refer Annex 1, right? You need to put, and here you have to write the exception, 1, 2, 3, right? So you need to put a short note, a mind mapping like this. I'm just gave you example only. You need to write whatever important thing. In this code of ethics chapter, what is there? Basically you have to learn the fundamental principle, theory, threats theory, safeguard theory, other concept theory that I have not discussed, I will tell you, right? Then there is exception for confidentiality that you need to aware. The most important aspect of this chapter is the threats, practical application of the threats. Right? Practical application of the threat. So practical application of the threats, there are about 23 practical application. I have given you the format, 5-column format just about 10 minutes back. That format you need to prepare and attach to the short note. So this diagram plus that short note if you have, and here you write the questions attended questions attended in this paper itself. So we'll say pilot paper, question number 4, right? Then KB4, June 2019, question number 3. Likewise, whatever the question that you are writing, independent, you write in this paper itself. If you go through this study text, you prepare this mind mapping short note and detailed short note and write what are the questions that you have attended. What else to be done? Nothing. If you do properly, you can get in that 10 marks here, right? So my minimum requirement, so you need to write 10 questions minimum of this any particular chapter. 10 independent questions you need to write, and you need to look at the answers from the study text solutions or something, right? So this is what I want to explain you the theory. So now we'll come back to the question. Pilot paper question number 4. I need to do very slowly with you in careful manner. Pilot paper question number 4. Come back to the presentation. So I have told you the steps how to attend for the question. So immediately you go to the required section, look at the question. Immediately you go to the required section and you need to read the question, analyze the ethical threats which may affect the auditor of Dodan PLC for 5 marks, outline how the effect of each threat identified in above can be mitigated. So remember that, right? So remember that I have told you, you have to highlight the question, action verb and number of marks. Highlight the question, action verb and number of marks and put whether it is a practical or theory, P or theory, right? And now if you look at the analyze the ethical threats which may affect the auditor of Dodan PLC, so that means it is a analyze, I have already highlighted, and 5 marks already highlighted. This is a practical case scenario, and outline how the effect of each threat identified in above can be mitigated. That means you are supposed to write 5 safeguard, you are supposed to write what is the next action or a safeguard available. So when you are doing like this, remember the action verb, one is analyze, other one is outline. So analyze means you need to analyze the case scenario and link to that practical 22 case studies, 23 case studies. Now if you can remember that short note, you have already put the 23 case scenarios. Out of 23 only, 1 case study will come here, right? So analyze the ethical threat and safeguard. So we'll go to the question now, right? So whatever the question when you are doing, right, I'll delete this one. So I think you are clear with that. I'm going to delete this. So if you look at the question, when you are reading a auditing question, remember that there is something called you should get absorbed to the question. Not that you are getting the question into you go into the question. I don't know whether you understand what I am trying to say. Rather, question is getting into your mind, you go into the question. Think like that, right? Imaginary situation at the CL1 auditing paper, it's purely a practical paper. You are going to look at on a more practical angle. And imagine you are a practical auditor, you are a practical audit manager. Even if you have not gone for audit firm, doesn't matter. I am a practical auditor. What is my practical solution that you need to think, right? So pilot paper question number 4, if you see, you are a manager of TR associate. Now you are a manager of TR associate. Remember that audit manager means significant role. CL1, the expected level of answers at your examination is the manager or partner level. So you are a manager of TR associate, a firm of chartered accountant. You have been requested to handle the audit of Dodan PLC. Underline the word Dodan PLC if you have a hard copy. So Dodan PLC, Dodan PLC, why I am telling you to highlight, remember that this auditing paper whether if it is a PLC or a private limited has a significant difference. Keep remember, if it is a private limited, if it is a PLC, there is a significant difference in audit procedures, significant application of a code of ethics, significant different application of code of corporate governance. So therefore, any question irrespective of any section of the question, you need to highlight at the examination whether it is a PLC or a private limited. Remember this information that I am giving you, right? So Dodan PLC, highlight the Dodan PLC. And for the year ended 31st December 2019, remember the next information in auditing paper. Remember this. You have to highlight the financial year ended. You have to be very careful of the dates. So why you have to be careful, I will tell you on the next day when I am discussing the audit evidence subsequent event, right? So year ended 31st December 2019 is a very crucial information for you for any auditing question. Dodan PLC has been in the business manufacturing and export of a heavy vehicle tires. The next important information again in auditing paper, always the business nature of the business you need to get into a mind. This is a heavy vehicle tires. These steps I am giving you to practice more complex scenarios in audit planning and all. When you do this information, remember that, get a highlighter when you are going to the examination. Get the highlighter and highlight this thing. Number one, whether it's a PLC or private limited, you need to highlight. If there are financial timelines given, that you need to highlight. And the third one is the nature of the business. So nature of the business, why you need to be very vigilant of a nature of a business. So remember that when you are doing auditing question, you need to get absorbed to the question by imaginary world. You have to think of this is the company of export of heavy vehicle tires. So like maybe Apidaco, some tire company you have to imagine. So if the question is given on a garment factory, you need to imagine a garment. If it is given for a liquor company, you need to imagine a bar. So if it is given for a maybe gold company, jewelry shop, you need to look at a jewelry shop. Then remember, so believe me, so when you are doing any practical question, try to get into the question, but with imaginary world. Right. So now in this question I am telling you, so there are three information, Dodan PLC and the year ended 31st December 2019 and they are on a heavy vehicle tire. So now what is our question? You need to identify the ethical threats which may affect the auditor of Dodan PLC. Right. So then now I am going to discuss the question to identify. Remember the next important information when you are attending a question. Don't write the answer in the order that is given in the question. Now you can identify maybe 10 or 20 ethical issues in this case scenario, but don't try to write in the order that you are going to identify here. What you need to look at is, what you need to really do is, in the examination paper is given, paper itself you need to write. Identified answer, press write in the order that you are identifying. Okay, and after that you prioritize the answer which is expected to the examiner's requirement and you write in the different priority order. Right, we will do this question like that. Right. So Mr. Tissa, remember, we will read the question. Mr. Tissa has been the engagement partner of this audit for last 9 years and possesses excellent knowledge about the business and the client. The first point that you can see when you are reading itself, right? When you are reading itself, you can identify. When you can identify what audit partner has been for 9 years. Has been here for 9 years. So what is the threat arising here? If the audit firm partner has been for the 9 years, so that means what? Familiarity. Right? So the first incident we identified. The second one, he requested you to start planning the audit of the Dodan PLC. That is okay. And also when you are reading the auditing question, sentence by sentence you need to read. Further, he requested you to get his son Rajan, who is a junior audit trainee of the firm. Further, he requested you to get his son Rajan, who is the junior audit trainee. What junior auditor knows about audit planning? Audit planning is a very complex thing, which just recruited audit trainee will not know what is audit planning. There is no use at all. Also involved in the planning process, Rajan go through his advanced level examination with 3 simple passes in science stream in 2019. You just see, he has taken only 3 years as simple passes in the science. How he knows about the auditing? Just registered as a student of CS Sri Lanka, that means business level 1. Further, Mr. Tissa informed that Nuwan is being allocated a senior in charge of the audit of Dodan PLC and he is on 25,000. So before coming to that, the Rajan issue. So Rajan, when Rajan is assigned to the audit, what is the issue there? So very junior audit executive audit trainee, right? So son of audit partner, right? He requires you to get his son Rajan, right? Son of audit, involvement of son of audit partner. What it create? It creates again what? Familiarity threat. Why? Audit firm partner has been the client for another 9 years. Already familiarity threat is there. So then when the audit planning is made, his son also involved and he's a partner's son. Whatever the partner connection has with the client, of course the son also could have, right? So therefore, and also the son and father, no, right? So it's not a normal relationship. So therefore, again the familiarity threat arising here. This is why I am telling you need to identify like this first at the paper itself, then only you are thinking how you are going to write this one. Okay. Then Nuwan is being allocated as senior in charge of the audit of Dodan PLC and he owns 25,000 ordinary shares. The audit senior, right? Audit senior, right, has 25,000 shares of Dodan PLC. Audit senior has a 25,000 shares in the company out of the 1 million shares, may be clearly insignificant, but still there is a risk. So that is called what? That is called self-interest. Can you remember? I told you, can you remember that actually if you do that short note, writing these questions are nothing. Out of that short note only all these will come, right? So the self-interest. Then the next one, at your initial meeting with the finance director of the company, he informed that the audit term will not be provided 2-night stay at 5-star hotel owned by the group this time, as this could appear to be an attempt to influence the opinion of the audit. So that is a fantastic thing. What's going to happen, right? Again we'll read that. At your initial meeting, the finance director of the company informed you that the audit team will not be provided a 2-night stay at 5-star hotel owned by the group this time, as this could appear to be an attempt to influence the opinion of the audit. So what's going to happen here is the hospitality, gift and hospitality. Can you remember? So the gift and hospitality. So hospitality is going to be hospitality offered. There is a hospitality offered, but remember there is an important wording in auditing. There is an important wording in the question which always you need to be alert of the entire question always, right? So you see here, audit team at a 5-star hotel once the audit is completed. There is a word called audit is completed, right? So it's coming what? Again, self-interest is coming. Self-interest is coming, right? Then the next one, The finance director also stated that the fee for taxation this year should be based on the percentage of tax served. That statement has a lot of issues. Read statement. The finance director also stated that the fee for taxation service this year should be based on percentage tax saved. Now, I am a practitioner. When I look at that statement itself, I am getting so many issues in that statement. I am getting 3 issues in this statement. That is why I told you in auditing paper, no pointing reading the theory, no pointing the memorizing the theory. If you can read the theory and put a short note, and if you can think from your mind by writing the question, these things will be picked. Otherwise, you will not get into this thing, right? This is not there in the books. In this statement has 3 meaning which is not there in any of this book. In this book or whether it is a study text, nowhere. You need to practice in the question to come out into that level, right? What are the problem that I can see here? You see, the finance director also stated that the fee for taxation service here should be based on the percentage of tax saved. So what I can see here is, number 5, right? We provide tax service, right? We provide tax services. What is the threat? Self-review. You need to practice, remember, right? If you don't practice, the number 6 that I can see on this statement itself, right? Contingent fees. Can you remember we discussed your fees depend on the tax saving. That is a contingent fees, right? So that is again self-interest. If you have already done the short note, so you can answer this question, right? Number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Number 7. Can you read this statement again, right? It says, the finance director also stated that the fee for taxation fee this year should be based on percentage of tax saved, and trust that your firm will accept a fix for representing a Dodan PLC in a dispute regarding the amount of VAT payable to the Department of Inland Revenue. Don't you see intimidation there? They have been paid our tax fees based on the time spent, but from this year, suddenly they are telling, no, we can't pay you the tax fee on what we decided, but we will pay on tax fee. So there is something called, whether I don't know whether you feel or not, that is called practice of the question. I feel something. What is that? There is an intimidation. Intimidation on tax service. If you can't, what it trying to say? If you can't, we will take out the tax service. If you can't provide as we expected, you take it, we will take it out. Intimidation. If you take out the audit service, tax services, we will take out the audit services as well. So therefore, this will be intimidation. Right. So then, there's another statement. We'll read the last one. Trust that your firm will accept a fixed fee for representing Dodan PLC in a dispute regarding the amount of a VAT payable to the Department of Inland Revenue, representing on behalf of the company against the Commissioner General of Inland Revenue. Again, link into the theory. So representing on behalf of someone, we call something advocating, advocacy threat. Right. So therefore, number 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, right? Representing on behalf of the client on behalf of the client, right? So that is called advocacy threat. Representing on behalf of the client, it is advocacy threat. Now you see, there are 8 scenarios we identified in this particular case scenario. All these 8, remember, all these 8 are from your short note. If you can all put the proper short note on that practical 22 case scenarios, any question that is going to come at your examination can be answered without any problem there. So believe me, right? So now the skill of writing, listen carefully me. Now what is the, I will follow the steps, right? What are the steps? I told you, look at the required section, identify the action verb carefully, highlight the action verb, highlight the mass, whether put is a theory or practical, go back to the case study. In the case study, when you are reading, there are key information, name of the company, whether private limited or a PLC, and the financial year ended, and the nature of the business. You have to practice any question, that step must be followed. After that, when you are reading the question, sentence by sentence, you need to read carefully. Sentence by sentence, you need to read carefully and list down the question answers. Don't write at this answer script, answer booklet. Don't write. After that, now prioritize the answer. Now prioritize the answer, what is most significant. Now the question, go back to the question, analyze the ethical threats. Question is, what is the question? Analyze the ethical threats. Underline the threats. So then your answer must be written on the order of a significance of the threats. Right? So now in my reading, for me, what would be my order? It's practical writing. So I'll be writing familiarity threat as number 1. Sorry. So I'll be writing familiarity threat as number 1 here. So there are 2 issues here. Audit partner has been for 9 years and involvement of son of audit partner. There are 2 familiarity issues which can be taken as a 1 point and 2 bullet point. Under familiarity threat, there are 2 bullet point answers that you can write. Right? So what is my number 2? What is my number 2? So number 2, I will write not the audit senior has 25,000 shares of Dodan PLC. Why? Why? That is not a very serious issue. Out of 1,025,000 is a small number. So therefore it is an issue, but it is not a very significant issue with compared to the other answers. Right? So therefore what I will do, my second answer is, if I am reading this, what is my second most serious answer is, for me, the most serious answer is this one, number 2. Understand? So this will be the number 2, right? Then the number 3, I will be having a more serious issue. So number 3 will be this advocacy threat, right? Number 3 will be most significant for me. Familiarity is number 1. Self-interest here is number 2, and advocacy. Remember that I told you the few steps. Don't write in the order the way you think. You have to write the answer in the significance order for a particular audit partner or audit manager. So familiarity, the self-interest, and advocacy threat. So other things is okay. The main 3 you have identified. So you can write this as a number 4, intimidation as number 4, right? And providing this as number 5, right? And this as number 6, this as number 7, right? But in the examination, you are supposed to write only the 5 answers. So writing 6 answers would be sufficient. So therefore, even not writing this answer, there is no issue, right? Most careful thing, now I am telling you, most careful thing, the careful thing is to identifying the answers and prioritizing the answers. So I hope that I discussed the prioritizing and the understanding the answers. Next challenge is what? The next challenge is writing the answer into the 10 marks. Now you identify the answer, then you prioritize the answer. Now you have to write the answer into the 10 marks. So I'm not in a position to give you a detailed answer as of now with the time limitation, but I request you to look at the suggested solution given by CS Sri Lanka for the pilot paper. So that has been addressed by, so this all 6 issues has been addressed in the pilot paper answer. So you can read that answer. First of all, you write the answer. And on this order, carefully look at with the suggested solution given by CS Sri Lanka onto this answer, right? So, but one thing to tell you, when you are writing the answer for 5 marks, always analyze mean you need to give the at least 2 bullet point how you are believing that one. One is exactly copy paste of the issue, and second thing, how it become a self-interested. For example, audit firm partner has been for 9 years. You see that is answer for familiarity. The second bullet point, the first bullet point is it is stated that the partner has been for the 9 years. So that you have to mention the second bullet point, how it becomes a self-familiarity that you need to explain. How you are going to explain? So you need to tell that. So since the audit firm partner has been for the long, since because of a long association, so the objectivity of the audit firm partner could be compromised if a different request is made by the client. So that need to be explained properly. So likewise, each answer should carry 2 points. 2 points, then only you will get 1 mark for the 1 point. Sorry, 1 answer, 2 bullet point. Half a mark for 1 and 1 mark for 1 point. Right. Then the part 2 of the answer outline how the effect of the each threat identified in A above can be mitigated. Remember that. So you need to look at in a more practical way. So all these circumstances, what could be the solution? Not there in this. Remember, on these circumstances, what to be done? Not there in the booklet. Not there in the study text for a certain thing. You need to look at in more rational, more logical way. That is why I am telling that short note is important, right? You need to practice more question and compare your answer with the examiner's answer. Try to understand what is your thinking gap, not the question issues. What is your thinking gap? You understand in that order, and you will get onto your mind. You will realize yourself. Then it will be easy for the next question, right? So when you are writing the second part of the question, outline how the effect of the each threat identified in A above can be mitigated. Audit partner has been for 9 years. What is the mitigating factor? Is there any safeguard? I told you there are certain circumstances there are no safeguard. You cannot apply the safeguard. So therefore, in these circumstances, do you have any safeguard? No safeguard. There are no exceptional situations given here. So therefore, audit firm partner must be changed. Very simple, right? The second scenario, involvement of the son of the partner. It's not really necessary, but because there is a familiarity threat, but involvement, so you can tell to the audit partner. So we will keep this is since you can keep that particular person out, or you can appoint another independent person for independent partner to come and check. So remember one thing I want to tell you before end of the session. There are certain safeguard. Can be written anywhere. We call like Siddhalepa, can be used everywhere. So remember that there is a safeguard appointing a third party person to review that work that is done. So that is one common safeguard we can apply most of the cases, not all, most of the cases. Therefore remember that scenario. Sometime that point, sometime when you go to the examination, you are under pressure and there's nothing, so everything is forgotten, nothing is coming to your mind. The time is also going to be finished. You have to write the safeguard. One safeguard is remaining. Just write that one, at least one, right? Okay. Then audit senior has 25,000 shares of Dodan PLC. What you could do? So what you can do is the audit senior can be taken out from the audit. That particular audit removed from him and informed the audit committee. The next one, hospitality offered. So this is if this is after audit is completed and accounts is sign off. If the after audit is completed and accounts is sign off. So if it is clearly insignificant for your objectivity, so it could be undertaken. Otherwise, if before the accounts is sign off, so you can easily reject that one. Then we provide, but the tax services, yes, tax services can be provided, but you have to apply the safeguard. What are the safeguard? The 2 teams need to be assigned. 2 teams need to be assigned. Something like this, the Chinese wall can be put. And then contingent fees, we very clearly we should tell. very clearly we should tell to the finance director the taxation fee cannot be decided, may not be appropriate to decide on a contingent basis. So therefore, you must explain the fee should be decided based on the actual number of hours spent. So then the intimidation of tax service, there is an intimidation that you need to explain to them. We cannot do certain intimidation, you have to undertake. And the last one, representing on behalf of the client. So we should, if the matter is so significant, these answers are not there in the book. If the matter is so significant, sorry, we have to say to the client, we cannot undertake this non-assurance services because we are the auditor of that client, right? So I just told you in summary, you can check the answer in detail, but I told you just summary. Remember that the safeguards are not there in the books as you expected. You need to learn my short note what I gave and practice the question and think in more logical, more rational way. Try to think on a different angle. Try to be a thinking auditor. Don't try to accept just because that is there in the booklet. You practically think you are an auditor. As an auditor, what can I do? You need to focus on that. Right? You need to get absorbed into this practical scenario where that you do as an auditor. Right? So that is my advice. So this answer you can check at the CSE Lanka LMS. So the answer is there. Right? Right, so the next one, so there are few principles, you can come to the presentation. So there is another thing, there is a mini scenario, the case study, this question you can see here, please. So I don't think I will have a time to discuss today on this question because with very limited time on the Code of Ethics, it's a very vast area. So this question, I recommend you to, this is a study tech question, don't look at the answer, please do this question. Without looking at the answer, do this question and just compare your answer with the study text, that answer is there. So there is one interesting thing which I will not discuss in detail, but I will tell one point only. Look at the last paragraph of this question. Nisha has asked all of the audit staff out to an expensive restaurant prior to start of the audit work for this year. Nisha has said it's a celebration of her new appointment. This is Nisha is the finance director. So now you just see, in these circumstances, in our circumstances, hospitality we didn't take as a serious issue. That doesn't mean all the cases like that, but here you look at the case again. Nisha has asked all of the audit staff out to an expensive restaurant prior to the start of the audit work for this year. So Nisha has said it's a celebration of her new appointment. Who will give the party in advance? That means audit team is going to be given a party before the audit started itself. How nice, how nice. Right? So it's something, the intention of the giving that party is something else, and also it is not a normal restaurant, expensive restaurant. Why this audit trainees, audit associate need to be taken for why? They think their objective is something else. Right? So that you can just do this question. I will not have enough time to do that one. So you can discuss, you can do this question and answer also there in the study text. Right? So I told you there are few additional concepts that you need to aware. You look at this presentation. Additional concept that you need to aware when I was putting the summary. One thing called network firms. So network firms mean what? Network firm in simply you can read the study text. Network firm like KPMG, EY, PwC, the Grant Thornton, the Deloitte, all these firms are network firms. That means even if you go to the Sri Lanka Deloitte, India Deloitte, Pakistan Deloitte, USA Deloitte, so it's a network firm. So that when we are analyzing the code of ethics, not only the firm that are applicable for the network firm as well, right? They are using this common brand name like a franchise business, McDonald's. Then the number 2, independence of mind and independence in appearance. So that also you need to remember. The independence mean that is not a fundamental principle, but it is a principle that need to be attended by chartered accountant in practice. So independence means, so you have to be independent. You should be you should not be a biased person for the client. So that has to be in a both way, independence of mind and independence in appearance, not independence in fact. So you have to be independent from your mind in your all professional dealing, not only that, appearance also. So very good example is, now you just imagine you are an auditor of a John Keels and you are an independent person. So you go for a, shall we say, you are going for a family trip to Strangila Hambantota. At that day you meet I'll tell you again. So you are a auditor of the John Keels Holding, right? You are going to the audit and you are an independent person and you have completed the audit. So you are going for a family trip for Shangila Hambantota. When you go there, you are meeting the managing director of John Keels Holding Limited at Strangila Hotel Hambantota. You are just talking with them and having the lunch. The similar other side of the table, you can see the SoftLogic managing director also there. But you are not the auditor of a SoftLogic. Then the SoftLogic director can feel, managing director can feel, the John Keels Holding managing director and the audit firm partner is having the lunch together. Why this? Why this? So he can, the SoftLogic managing director can think this auditor is not independency, something similar to like that. So when you are, therefore, the independency must be maintained in a two ways. Independence is mind, actual independence, as well as independence in appearance. Then the part 3, conflict of interest. So conflict of interest comes in something like this. Now for example, if you are auditor of the Manchi as well as if you are auditor of the Maliban, if you are auditor of the Manchi, if you are auditor of the Maliban, so what is the situation? Just imagine. So you know all the secret information of the Maliban, you know all the secret information of the Manchi. So now there is a conflict of interest between the two clients' interest. In such circumstances, you need to maintain the proper safeguard mechanism, because so both the parties will try to get the advantage of that. So there is a case study and there is a small note in the study text. You can read on that. So basically, when there is something like that, you can apply the Chinese wall. So that means the audit firm can handle both the client, but the two different partners and two different engagement team where there are no connection, then you are not disclosing the information each other. Last important thing which was not properly there on KB4, NOCLA. NOCLA mean what? Non-compliance with laws and regulation. So actually this is a look at here, NOCLA. Sorry. Alright, NOCLA. So what is meant by NOCLA? Non-compliance with non-compliance of laws and regulation. This was something that recently added to the CA Sri Lanka Code of Ethics 2017. So what it says, if you are a chartered accountant either in a practice or either in a business, you have a responsibility. If you see something illegal things are happening in the business organization, you need to report to the relevant regulatory body. Non-compliance with laws and regulation. Non-compliance with laws and regulation, right? For example, if there is a terrorist financing activity, money laundering activity, right? Money laundering can happen, terrorist finance activity can take place, or food safety issues. So some safety issues, health issues, environmental issues. There are so many laws and regulations which need to be complied by the business organization. So if you see, when you are auditing or when you are working as accountant, if you see something is not happening in this particular organization, or some legal provisions are not complied, if it is so serious, so you have a public responsibility. You have a public responsibility to report to the relevant regulatory body. So that is the one being discussed here, right? So that you need to look at the study text on NOCLA rule. So especially there are money laundering and this bribery and corruption, food safety, environmental protection. There are a lot of laws applicable in the law that if you see, you need to look at, you need not to look at in detail, but while you are working, if you see that, you need to report to the relevant regulatory body. That is a mandatory requirement in line with the CA Sri Lanka Code of Ethics. Remember that, as I told you previously, confidentiality is not applicable if you are doing something similar to like that. So when you are doing also, there is a few steps to be done. That means you can't just report. You can't just report. There are some ways of doing what, how you can do. First of all, understand the requirement. First of all, understand the requirement. The second thing, discuss with the management. Discuss with those charged with governance. Explain them. Tell them the requirement. Ask them to correct. Still, if they don't do, then you have a responsibility to report to the relevant regulatory body. Not only that, after you do that one, you have to document all this information. So that is the process when you are adopting the NOCLA that need to be attended. So just read the study text. So that is an important one. Could be tested at the CL1, right? Right. So that is what the summary. That is what the summary of the CL1. So I think now about 3.5 hours, so 3 hours I tried to do. At the beginning I was explaining little slowly to you to put the foundation properly. The proper foundation I was trying to put, but obviously within 3 hours you cannot do a code of ethics, a very large session. But I tried my maximum for you to give a framework for your further studies, and I discuss a one CL1 pilot paper question for you to give a benchmark on how you should get ready for the writing of the question. So still, if you have a question on this code of ethics, so you can, I am ready to help you as in my capacity. So you can email me, I have given my email address, or you can put me a WhatsApp message or something. As I can, I will try to help, right? So, but again I am highlighting the code of ethics aspect. It is so practical. You need to learn the theory. You need to know how that practical application is made, and you need to know how that practical application need to be applied in the examination. Follow my steps. Read the study text, put the short note, write 10 questions independently, compare the answers with the answers given by CS Sri Lanka, right? If you do all these, you can get the 10 marks that is given at the CL1 paper, right? Okay then, thank you very much.